For this getaway special, we take off nowhere, but set out to explore the very place where every getaway begins. Our story begins on the Huangpujiang, the river at the very heart of the city that it's all built around.
Well, while just a couple of decades ago there was hardly any reason to hop over to Pudong, now it's a whole other world over there. Because of the huge development, there's countless bridges and tunnels, but with over 100 years history, by far the cheapest and the most traditional way to get over there is to hop on the ferry.
The Shanghai ferry system still constantly crosses the Huangpujiang, one of the busiest waterways in the world, carrying thousands of bike riders and tourists. I step on board not just to soak up the views, but also to catch up with the man in the driving seat, Captain Li, who continues to connect Puxi to Pudong almost 50 times a day.
Li 船长，弄好。
你好，你好，你好，你好，在。
谢谢。李船长，你开轮渡多少年？
开了已经37年。
哇，37年。
对呀。
那1975年跟现在肯定有很大的改变，对吗？
对。
发展得很快。
发展得。
那最大的改变是什么？
最大的改变就是黄浦江的景色越来越美了，工厂都迁移了。现在保留的对面这个当代艺术馆，也原来就是南市发电厂，在世博会上作为场馆保留了下来。
在你的船上看世博园也很漂亮。
对。
便宜的方法。
很便宜，对。你要看南浦大桥的，那就到这里来。
对啊。如
果你要看这个外滩的，那你到东京县坐下轮渡，那么两岸的景色都看到了。长不动态湖畔坑流，在南浦大桥江面有西向东商业航道，经此河船加强联系，注意安全。
你工作最难的部分是什么？
最难的部分就是我们黄浦江涨潮的时候船特别多，好多船呢，它为了考虑到成本节约油，它顺手。我们一定要做到这个主动的避让，要耐心。我们是横越的，就像过马路一样，横越的要避让直行的，都差不多的。黄浦江的航行规则也是这样。那
你平时工作日程怎么样？
上早班的话，大概在4点半就要起床了。
4点半？
就要起床了，对。还有5点半要整点的把船开出来。每天的航行8小时，10分钟一班船，48个航次。
哇，48次那么多。
对啊，每天基本上就是这样的。
那如果每天都是这样，你怎么坚持37年？
对，37年了呢。我主要是喜欢做这个驾驶的工作，然后这么长时间做下来也习惯了。把乘客的安全运送过去，这也是我的工作上的一种享受。做到退休。
Well, I myself have been back and forth on this boat so many times, back and forth from Pudong and Puxi. And of course I've seen so many changes. There are buildings going up the whole time. Obviously it's developing like a rate of knots, this city. But I never really stopped to think when I was on one of these boats that it's being driven by someone who was on here before all the changes happened and is still doing the same job today.
Decades of development can be traced right up and down the river, but for Captain Li, the only evidence of his work is this ferry route, which has never changed and which stands as a reminder of what's been and what remains. He must have made this crossing over 550,000 times, delivering well over 100 million people. That in itself is quite a feat. For me, the true splendour of Shanghai is best appreciated at night, when the glitz and glamour of the city come bursting out. But while even the lights start to fade far above us, they're still very much on underground. Tonight, I join the bustle and jostle of commuters, but not just for the ride.
Well, coming from London, I'm never that keen to get on the terrible tube. But here in Shanghai, it's definitely the most efficient form of public transport. It's just coming up to 11 p.m, which for most of us means it's time to hit the hay or to head to the pubs and crack open a few beers. But for some dedicated men, their work days are just beginning.
After everyone's headed home, I'm still here, the very last of today's metro passengers, hopping off at a station that is rarely visited by the public.
陆公，晚上好。
哎，你好。
哎，你好。
你好。哎，
现在已经1点半多了，
对，
为什么还没睡觉啊？
现在正是我们那个上海地铁的维护工作时间。
维护工作。
对，一般都是在晚上11点左右。哇，对，
很厉害。那这个有什么功能？
这个是我们上海地铁的转折设备。那个列车是没有那个方向盘的，它需要转折设备把那个列车引向一根古道到另一个古道。
Be in the know. The railway trains have seen huge developments, but none of them require steering wheels. In fact, it's these track switches that do the job. It's crucial for track switches to be checked, keeping us running smoothly along the right track.
我现在摇的时候，你可以看一下这里边的间轨正在移动。
哦，对，
是不是正在移动？
对。对。那现在你在手动，但是平时你用电控制吗？对，
现在是因为我们是在维护状态，所以要用手动进行那个调整和测试。
我可以试一下吗？
可以。
啊 ，Great。
One simple switch is normally completed electrically in 4 seconds, but by hand it takes around a minute. There are countless track switches on line 2, but Mr. Lu's work doesn't finish there. He also shows me the second part of his job in the cockpit, where any of the system's mistakes must be eliminated in time for tomorrow's action.
每天上海地铁有700万人次左右的客流，一个小小的故障，因为现在网络化的运营可能影响到10几万人的出行，因此我的工作就是把这些小故障消灭在萌芽之中，让设备运行在可靠稳定状态。
我最后一个问题是一个个人的问题，因为你每天在深夜要做工作，
对，
所以对你的生活是不是很大的挑战？
作为上海地铁的一名工程师，为了维护设施设备安全，保证市民安全的出行，我和我的管理团队已经适应了这种生活。
When I leave here, it's already 4 a.m. 1 hour later, the first train leaves the station, picking up early rising passengers for their morning commute. At the same time, the first ray of sunshine will rise in the east. The city of Shanghai is waking and a new day is starting. As usual, a casual 7 million people will choose to travel by Shanghai Metro. I might never have thought about it before, but transporting the equivalent of an average-sized city's population is massive. And it's all carried out by Shanghai Metro system, with its 12 lines, 287 stations and more than 500 trains. And as we now know, the countless track switchers and dedicated Shanghai Metro staff. Urban life goes by fast, and life in Shanghai is fastest of them all. It's rare that we ever get time to take a breather and look back, or keeping time, look ahead. Yulin Road. Even a lot of young Shanghainese wouldn't know where to locate it, but the sight of decrepit factories and the sound of old machineries take us back to the existence of one industrial faculty with deep historical roots. The products it makes shares the city's name. A brand once proudly worn by so many, its exquisite value still remains, despite decreasing in popularity. Having started his career in 1958 as an apprentice in Shanghai watch factory, Master Zhang is an expert in time machines and keeping time.
那这是什么样的手表？
这个呢是阿拉厂里搞的一只机械手表，里向有137只零件组成起来装成搿能。
Wow, 137 parts inside that tiny little thing there. 那现在你在装什么零件？
这个一个呢是手表的心脏部分，阿拉通过这8轮有丝振荡系统，通过伊的一个振荡系统以后调节这质量，保证每天误差在了30秒以下，所以这个部位呢是相当重要。
哇，30秒。
Designed in 1962, this model used to have 600,000 pieces produced every month, and today it's still being made using the same techniques.
因为我当心那里向的有丝搞乱脱了以后呢，就相当于开刀心脏血管绑坏脱了。初步实惠以后，可以这个震荡了。年纪大了，眼睛不行了，要用放大镜的形式来看了。那这个说明已经就位了。
Assembling this machine in a micro world takes patience, a sharp eye, and most importantly, time to get it spot on.
侬不错啊！我学了3年，做了50几年，侬3个钟头不到就装了搿能好。
Well, I think this watch has just about survived my surgery, and I don't think I'd make a very spectacular doctor.
Time flies. The apprentice in 1958 is now one of the leading engineers, and Shanghai Watch is no longer producing anywhere near 600,000 pieces a month. Variety, appearance, and functionality are what Master Zhang has pursued in his handiwork. Through his daily design and construction, every twitch of the needle reminds him that time marches on.
张工，我想问你，因为你每天和时间打交道，所以你每天很守时吗？
你这问，对我每天呢按时上班，按时吃饭，按时下班，按时睡觉，所以呢50多年来我身体还可以。
很厉害啊！
Well, while for most of us in Shanghai, time seems to fly by far faster than we'd hoped for, it's quite refreshing to see that in this small little corner of Shanghai, here in the Shanghai Watch Factory, or at least for Zhang Gong, I feel like it's a very different story. Time leaves its traces on the city, on the dial plates of Shanghai watches, and on Master Zhang's face. Paradoxically, time stopped for him from the day he entered the factory. Since then, he's never changed what he does. Master Zhang admits that for over 55 years he's not been late once, accumulating his measured achievements over a long period. But more than that, his exemplary perseverance and focus is what makes him such an outstanding watchmaker. Time won't stop for us, however much we might want it to, but it does seem to present itself to Master Zhang. Through the patience of Zhang and people like him, this city continues to form in extraordinary times. I've mentioned the effects that time has on Shanghai, some of which are huge. On a sunny morning, I whiz all the way down a clear Century Avenue to the SWFC building. Unfortunately, that's not quite reality. Getting stuck in traffic is the price I often end up paying for the city's economic boom. But that doesn't stop me from being constantly flabbergasted by the beauty of this building. In fact, wherever you are in Shanghai, it can always be pointed out and defines the momentous reaches of this city.
We've climbed all the way up to the 100th floor of the SWFC building, currently the tallest spot in the whole of Shanghai at 474 metres high. We've actually got quite a good day, so on a day like today, apparently you can see for about 40-kilometre radius, so it gives you quite a spectacular view.
Within this 40 kilometres, Shanghai is once again rising for a new day, busy and hectic as ever. From up here, I can just make out Captain Li making one of his trips. Shanghai metro system is rallying up its 7 million, and I have no doubt that Master Zhang has arrived on time for work. For each of these people that I've met so far, maintaining work standards has been a recurring theme. But as I zip up to the clouds, here it's apparent that pushing for new standards is what it's all about. Be in the know. You may not fully understand the purpose of this equipment, but without it, visiting this building on a windy day is likely to lead to severe motion sickness. This is because of the sheer height and consequent swaying. After traipsing in and out of many elevators and up and down many staircases, I finally get a peek at the damper and the brain behind it.
这个风阻尼器的话，事实上在我们这个大楼里面总共装了2个地方。 就是在我们90层的这个地方跟这个地方，
这2条有什么功能？
大楼在风吹过来的时候，它会晃动，在房子里面工作生活的人的话，觉得不太舒服的情况下的话，我们通过这个阻尼器把这个震动给减小下来。它事实上是很简单的，就是一个这样的摆锤来回晃动的这个周期的话是6秒钟。这个6秒钟刚好跟我们这个房子本身的晃动的周期是一样的。那么通过这样的情况，就是把大楼的这个晃动的能量吸收到我们这个晃动来，那么大楼晃动的就小一点。
Dr. Gore explains the basic concept behind the damper, which is a simple idea in itself. For him, the rising skyline of Shanghai is exciting, if a little complex. Although, the more in-depth his explanations get, the more hesitant my nods become.
因为你是建筑师，所以上海是不是一个建筑师的乐园？
上海是一个建筑师的乐园，而且它的建筑多样性非常强。从世界各地来的建筑可能都很想在上海实现他的作品。我事实上更希望自己将来的工作的话，能为上海自己高层建筑的话，添加更多的这个有智慧的技术，让这个房子更持续性更好，更节约能源，更节约资源。
To build a skyscraper is not just about working out how to take it up, but also how to overcome new engineering challenges. Not far from here, the construction of Shanghai Center, soon to be China's newest, tallest building, is in its essential stages. I'm looking forward to returning next year and meeting the people behind a building that promises even smarter heights. But for now, let's hover for a little longer.
I literally feel like I'm stood on top of the world up here. This view is just the most incredible thing I've ever seen. In this episode, we've met so many people who are making this city stronger, better, faster, higher, and it's all just coming into play. I feel so privileged to live in this city. I just love you, Shanghai. I love you, Shanghai!
We may be up the peak, but it's soon time for me to head back down and end up with my feet, well, almost on the ground.
Well, we've listed countless reasons why it's such an awesome city to live in here in Shanghai, but we haven't really brought up the safety levels, which are just incredible. Today we're meeting the people who are keeping those safety levels flying high.
He's not just a soldier, he's a man with a mission.
王班长，我向你报道。你好。
你好。
你好，你好。 我们今天要做什么？
我们今天进行一个点将项目的训练。平时不管是我们进行社会救助也好，火场的一个进入室内的强攻也好，都要用到这个项目的。
是不是因为我们在上海有很多高楼，所以不能从地面进去，要从上面进去，对吗？
对的，很多事故现场，它地面条件不允许我们就是说沿楼梯上去，所以我们只有从楼顶或者事故层的上一层、上2层，然后用我们现在所学的这个点将项目直接下来到事故层，进行我们所需要的事故处置。
Okay, my turn. It's a bit like abseiling, and after my first try, I start to sit back into it and have a giggle. But it's difficult to forget that I've got a 10-kilo oxygen tank on my back, and that in a real-life situation, we'd be climbing in soaring temperatures, and the mission would be rather more serious.
Wow, I can tell you that was pretty hair-raising stuff coming from, well, I've only actually come from the 3rd floor. So you can imagine how Wang Banjiang might have felt coming from, his record is 460 metres, abseiling down the outside of these kind of buildings. I'll tell you what, these guys are brave.
Compared to the splendour of city life, the firemen must complete strict daily routines. Training, keeping physically fit, signing in and out of rescue missions. These are all carried out and repeated. We call them when we're in trouble and don't think of them much otherwise, but they take on these tasks with modesty and endurance, being always prepared, mentally and otherwise, for our cries of help.
Wang Banjiang, 因为我知道你已经做这个工作已经11年，对吗？
对的。
那你扑灭过多少个火？
我当兵11年来，总共参加灭火和救援是5000多起，真正的扑灭了火灾，就是说2800多起。
哇，你救过很多人，对吗？
对的，我自己亲手救出来的人是30多个。
哇！
但是我和我战友这一块一起救出来的人，这就不计其数了。
When the alarm rings, firefighters never hesitate to take off. After 11 years of doing this, Sergeant Wang takes it all in his stride, controlling the dispatch efficiently. But for me, it's a striking moment to learn that there were so many firefighters that dashed straight out of these doors into the flames of fire, never to return. These brave men have come to accept that their lives are risked every day, but rather than deterring them from getting up in the mornings, they take it as their calling. I asked Sergeant Wang what is it that's kept him doing this for 11 years. He replied that what he's rescuing is the only thing that truly matters.